In my humble opinion, Joe Biden is the worst president in U.S. history. Bush, Obama, Trump, and Clinton were smooth talkers. Joe Biden is pathetic. He's a national embarrassment. But maybe we need to see somebody who represents what's behind him, rather than a bunch of front men who make us feel like we're winning on the left and the right, and it always ends up in us going backwards. That's pretty much the nicest thing I could say about him and his administration, which is trying to normalize authoritarianism. Every conservative page will talk about that, so they have it covered. What I want to talk about is a little bit tougher, and you see virtually nobody talking about. It's almost like people on the right are afraid to say this. Our Republican leaders are failing us. Not just the rhinos, but the people who sit up on stage and call the other rhinos, they're also failing us. The tough leaders that claim to be taking on the weak ones, well, they're too weak for me too. Let me give you some examples. Rudy Giuliani recently tweeted, Mayor de Blasio's dictate of a rigid vax or leave policy threatens to reduce the NYPD and FDNY by 30% to 40%, a compromise, certification of natural immunity or weekly testing as an acceptable alternative. So this is supposed to be tough guy Rudy Giuliani, one of Trump's best allies and one of the hardest nosed people in the Republican Party. All respect to him, but what? A compromise is carrying around a certification of natural immunity? Hey guys, the only way to defeat authoritarianism on the radical left is to carry around an identification proving that you have an immune system or an immune response from a virus, or weekly testing. Oh yeah, we're gonna beat those authoritarian Democrats by caving to weekly testing. To me, that's just pathetic. I don't believe that people should have to be weekly tested or carry around a certificate of immunity. That's crazy. That's medical authoritarianism too. This is why Republicans always lose. They cave, and then put on a show and convince their audience that they're doing something when they're really not. I saw this meme, it's perfect. It's like Republican Party playbook, just defend what the Democrats used to defend 10 years ago. That's like what they do. And I'm sorry, Rudy, but this is unacceptable. They shouldn't have to do weekly testing or carry around a card proving their immunity. It's ridiculous. That's still a Black Mirror Orwellian world that they're crafting, and it's happening and working because this is supposed to be the tough guy in our own party. Here's another easy example before it gets tougher. Wildly unpopular among the conservative base, Nikki Haley recently tweeted out a video, "Conservatives must not turn their backs on capitalism." I responded, I remember when all this started in 2020, Republicans did nothing but put the whole country on welfare and hand the keys to Pharma. I get that they might have not wanted to do that, but when you buy in and promote and support and are the ringleader of 15 days to slow the spread, and then you extend it past Easter and it lasts for months, and you're printing the CARES Act, you're giving everybody universal basic income, which is what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Andrew Yang wanted to do. Republicans in power did that, and almost nobody besides Thomas Massie opposed it. And when Thomas Massie opposed it, Donald Trump suggested kicking him out of the Republican Party for opposing trillions of dollars of socialist printing and a giant welfare program. That gets you kicked out of the Republican Party? What a bunch of phonies. But nobody wants to say it because everybody wants to fit in with Team Red and sell Trump MAGA merch and just pretend like it's just the left. Yes, the left is the worst at it. The Democratic Party is horrible. Joe Biden is doing a terrible job. I would never vote for the guy. But that doesn't mean that all this didn't happen in 2020, because it did happen in 2020. And it's going to keep happening to you until you address it and identify it. Speaking of which, as we're facing all this medical tyranny and all of these mandates, Donald Trump has been using his platform.
We didn't see the problem with the supply chain. We had no problem with the supply chain. We had no problem with mandates because everybody, if you remember, Ari, everybody wanted to get the shot. Now, I'm very proud of the fact that I got a vaccine, actually 3 vaccines, and great therapeutics too, Regeneron, et cetera. But we got 3 great vaccines done in less than 9 months. They said it would take at least 5 years and it wouldn't be successful. And this was tremendously successful. But if you remember, when I was there, we were doing a lot. We were doing 1.1 million a day, and we had a very small ramp up. I used the military; they were doing a fantastic job. The incredible thing is, we didn't have mandates. Everybody wanted to take the vaccine because I think they trusted me or something. It has to do with trust of Biden. And now you see all of these people that don't want to take it, so many people. And you have the mandate situation. We didn't have a mandate because people were rushing to take it. It's very interesting.
Saving millions of lives throughout the world. I think we'd have a Spanish flu situation like in 1917. I really do. I believe that. And we're, maybe 100 million people, 50 million, 100 million people like that. So I'm very proud of the vaccine. I've taken the vaccine. I'm very, very proud of it. At the same time, some people don't want to take it. And, you know, when I was president, you didn't have this problem with people not wanting to take it. They don't take it because they don't trust Biden and they don't trust the Biden administration. When I was president, you didn't have people protesting the vaccine. If you just think back, everybody wanted to get it, and we were giving out over 1 million shots a day. We had that thing rocking.
Not to take a really strong stance against medical tyranny and be the voice of the voiceless, of the millions of his supporters losing jobs, incomes, schools. He'll say like, yeah, freedom or whatever, but mostly he's just been bragging about his collaboration with Big Pharma. He's been a pharmacy salesman.
And they want me to do public service messages and everything about everybody taking the vaccine. And look, I guess in a certain way, I'm the father of the vaccine because I was the one that pushed it.
And if people don't think it's gone too far, maybe you're putting your hands in your ears, ignoring it or making excuses for it. But multiple times he tries to say that if he were in power, there wouldn't need to be mandates because everybody would have wanted to get the vaccine if it were for him. No, really, that's what he thinks or lies and pretends he thinks.
Everybody wanted to take the vaccine because I think they trusted me or something. We had no problem with mandates because everybody, if you remember, Ari, everybody wanted to get the shot. Now, I'm very proud.
You know, when I was president, you didn't have this problem with people not wanting to take it. When I was president, you didn't have people protesting the vaccine. If you just think back, everybody wanted to get it, and we were giving out over 1 million shots a day.
If I were president, everybody would want to get the vaccine. I thought this comment nailed it. Someone said the best part about this super low IQ argument from Trump is that there is far, 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 far more protests about the vaccine in other countries. So he's saying the protests in Europe and Israel have to do with Biden and not the vaccine itself. That's a CNN level thought process. Is he a liar? Is he like an egotistical narcissist idiot? I can't really figure him out. He's like, if I were president, there would be no protests. Is that what it's about? Like nobody has their own perspective and opinion about the product itself? I know he's lying because before he got into office, he himself used to talk about injuries all the time on his Twitter from a similar type of product. So he knows why mothers and different people might possibly want to opt out. He's a liar. He's a horrible leader. This is what you want in the crunch time for humanity, and nobody wants to talk about it.
When I was president, you didn't have people protesting the vaccine.
Everybody wants to make excuses and pretend like it doesn't happen. It's embarrassing. He's pathetic. Aaron Rodgers, Kyrie Irving, these people are doing way more than Trump. He's like a professional Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson salesman. That's like where he spends most of his energy.
And look, I guess in a certain way, I'm the father of the vaccine.
How much longer are big Republican pages going to cover up this information? How much longer are they going to shill for him and lie for him and deceive the conservative people of America? Is it for the Trump merch? Do you guys want a seat at Mar-a-Lago? Is it for your ego, your clout? I can't really figure it out. Are you just a team red, you know? Are you the type that would have just said hoorah, hoorah, team red when George Bush was in office and ignored what he was doing? I can't figure it out, but I do care about the American citizens and patriots who do care about freedom and who do want a competent leader. I mean, to be fair, Rand Paul, DeSantis, they're running laps around Donald Trump. DeSantis put one of the frontline doctors as his surgeon general, and it's pretty epic. Trump got $1 million from Pfizer for his initial inauguration and then ended up putting a pharmacy lobbyist as one of the most powerful positions at Human Health Services. He installed Amy Coney Barrett, who was always pro-lockdown and now is pro-mandatory vaccination. And for those wondering if I'm a hindsight quarterback on this, I actually tweeted about it a year ago before she got into the Supreme Court because her record was public and she was always going to side that way. Donald Trump just doesn't care, or he's a goofy leader. Rand Paul has done a fantastic job grilling Dr. Fauci, and Trump has done a fantastic job going on Bill O'Reilly and talking about how him and Tony really get along.
So the big question is, did China do this on purpose or not? I think probably they didn't, okay?
They did not.
I think they did not do it on purpose. It certainly fit their agenda pretty well in many ways because it knocked us out, it knocked out the world.
But you don't think they weaponized COVID?
I don't think so, no. I don't think so. I don't think so.
Why didn't you fire
certainly
Fauci?
Hope not.
Why didn't you fire Fauci? Everybody hates Fauci.
Well, it didn't matter because I did pretty much the opposite of what he would suggest.
But you still had him.
No, he's been there a long time. I actually got along with him very well. Call me Tony. He goes, call me Tony, sir.
Call me Tony.
He was a much better promoter than he was a doctor.
But you didn't fire him.
No, I didn't fire him. He said, let them come in from China. Months after I closed it, I said, no, I'm not going to.
In hindsight, you should have sacked him. Come on.
He had much less influence in my administration.
Optics.
Well, look, I mean, Tony. Wait 1 second. Tony Fauci said, masks are no good. Don't wear masks.
We
now he's
all know that.
Now he's a
But everybody
radical
wants to know
masker.
why he didn't fire him.
Why? And he's been there a long time.
Listen to what Aaron Rodgers says here.
If you're a healthy person who has a strong immune system, keep building your immune system, and do what you got to do. Do what's best for your body. But that opinion, doesn't work because we've given away billions of dollars to these pharmaceutical companies now for these vaccines, and it's not going to stop. Merck's coming out with a pill. Pfizer's coming out with a pill that's...
He talks about the billions of dollars that Big Pharma got and how giving them that much money is going to keep this going.
We've given away billions of dollars to these pharmaceutical companies now.
Where do people think they got this money? Even though you're not mandating it yourself, when you print trillions of dollars and give billions of taxpayer or printed dollars to an industry, you're not incentivizing them not to do something, you're incentivizing them to do something. And he calls himself the father of the vaccine because under Operation Warp Speed, around $11 billion to Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca, Moderna, Novavax, Merck, GlaxoSmithKline. He gave Big Pharma more power and money than they could have ever asked for. As far as Pfizer, they got their funding for the vaccine a lot from the German government, but then Trump, of course, purchased 100 million doses, giving them money as well to buy the product. This is not just to blame him. Obviously, Biden is responsible for not just the mandates, but the same way there's people who said they wouldn't take the vaccine if Trump were president, and then they're begging to give it to their kids now. The same way that Republicans laugh at them and they're like, oh, look how brainwashed they were. They didn't want it with Trump, and then a month later they're begging for it. It's the same thing that I see a lot of Republicans do. If George Bush or Obama or Mitt Romney pushed Operation Warp Speed and funded Big Pharma as this great idea, nobody on the right would have defended it. They only defend it because they idolize Donald Trump, and they think it's their mission as an American citizen to make excuses for him or lie in his favor. So the same brainwashing that happens to the left, I'm starting to see it on the right. And all these big influencers that control a lot of Republican media, they don't want to talk about this stuff for whatever reason. And before I go, I just want to play this clip of Donald Trump on a radio show recently saying that Israel used to completely own Congress, and rightfully so. Take a look.
Well, the biggest change I've seen in Congress is Israel literally owned Congress. You understand that 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And it was so powerful. It was so powerful. And today it's almost the opposite. You have between AOC and Omar and these people that hate Israel. They hate it with a passion. They're controlling Congress, and Israel is not a force in Congress anymore. It's just amazing. I've never seen such a change. And we're not talking about over a very long period of time. But I think you know exactly what I'm saying. They had such power. Israel had such power, and rightfully, over Congress, and now it doesn't. It's incredible, actually.
A lot of the media is very upset that he said that. Of course, they're calling it anti-Semitic, but maybe that's the best thing about Trump is he says things people aren't supposed to say and just says it bluntly. And no matter how much you love Israel as an ally or a country, do you really think your Congress should be controlled by another country? In Israel, in order to serve in the Knesset, to serve in their government, you had to give up your citizenship to a foreign country, whether it be America, no matter how great of an ally we are, or Russia, you have to give up your foreign citizenship in order to serve the Israeli government. I think that's a smart idea. In America, that's not the case. In fact, it's the opposite. If you suggest that we do that, you will be called a racist, xenophobic anti-Semite from right-wing media, left-wing media, and the entire political system as they pass more speech laws to stop you from saying that. Does that make sense to you? Probably not if you're using your common sense, but most people aren't. Just a few things to think about, and you can ignore this video if you want, I don't really care, but there's reasons that you're perpetually disappointed by the Republican Party. It's because, in many ways, I don't think they're doing what you think they're doing. They claim to provide resistance, they turn into the Democrats, become authoritarians light, push socialism while they claim they're gonna fight socialism, fund pharma while they claim they're gonna stand up to big pharma, and prioritize a foreign country over their own country while saying that it's hate speech to suggest that they're doing it. This is not a recipe for success. The Republicans will let you down, including Trump. I would say he'll probably let you down the most because he's the one leader that everybody loves so much that nobody will question. If Rand Paul or DeSantis or Ted Cruz gets into office, people are going to be watching their every moves like a hawk and resisting when they do something whack, corny, or anti-American. If Trump gets into office, it's like everybody turns into a PR team and looks the other way and is going to act like like it's all great, when in 2020, no offense, he kind of left us in this predicament and passed the baton off to Biden to screw us all over. So it's a tough discussion to have, but I know this is a tough crowd. Hopefully people consider this, because if not, I'm not going to feel bad for you when nothing you think's going to work out works out, because you're ignoring the information, the truth, and the evidence that what you think is happening and what you want to happen and what's really happening are different stuff. And the real way to win is to stand firm, tell the truth to Trump. He doesn't need another yes man. He doesn't need another cheerleader. In fact, the more you do that, the more our country's going to suffer, because it seems like he's learned nothing and become a much worse version of what he was in 2017. He sucks now. He was awesome up until like 2020. He's a terrible leader. He's not on the pulse of anything. And I'm sorry, but he does not deserve my support in the primaries. I will happily support Rand Paul, I don't know, Candace Owens, DeSantis, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, give me somebody that's done more against medical tyranny, and I'd much rather support them than the father of the vaccine, who is such a pompous, egotistical liar that he thinks people aren't getting it just because of Joe Biden, and if he were in office, everybody would be in line for it. He really thinks that's what it's about? Shame on him for such a dumb answer. God bless you guys. I appreciate you. Have a beautiful day. Thank you to everybody supporting on Patreon. Thank you to everybody getting the winter gear on dreamrare.com. It's a limited edition, and once it sells out, we're not buying more this winter. Appreciate y'all. These hats are actually sold out. If you think I'm joking, they're not even available anymore. The sweatshirts and long sleeves will eventually be the same. Have a good one.